All aboard to rescues me no good Pappy.
It was a very exciting time in Popeye's career.
Everyone was super excited to be working on it.
We just tried to stay true to the character.
That's easy.
It looks like the old cartoon, but with a fresh new twist.
King Features was looking to create new animation for Popeye. It's been almost 20 years since this classic icon was animated, and we were looking to make the big step into CGI, an area that not many, if any, classic characters have ventured into. So Popeye was going to be one of the first classic properties to step into the CGI world from classic 2D animation.
Popeye the Sailor Man.
I remember a lot of excitement in the hallways from all the staff because, I mean, Popeye's an icon. It's been around for 75 years. I mean, these are one of those things that you hope you can work on when you're going through school to become an animator or a modeler or even a producer in my case.
In the days of Popeye, you know, he's come through almost 7 decades now of animation. The first, when he was animated in the 30s, was the one that we wanted to latch on to.
What would the Fleischer brothers do with today's technology? Because they were making cartoons 70 years ago, and they were inventing the technology that they needed to make the cartoons. If they had computers today, if they had the technology that we had today, you know, how would they use it? And we basically took that as our guideline.
One thing we had to be careful of is there's a different timing, there's a different look and feel. We had to stay specific with the classic timing, which made Popeye, you know, who he was. It made those cartoons funny.
That's funny.
In the design of the characters, we were very much guided by King Features design pack because they have an official guide to what Popeye and all his characters look like.
We were using all their character reference, costume reference, color palette, and that's what we used for all the characters.
Our animators would analyze them frame by frame to see how they moved, and we would just try our best to capture the spirit of those original cartoons.
Hey, that's me, loyal friend you're talking about.
It's so hard to take a character that's already established and still have that legacy continue on into something, especially when you're basically having to revamp it and give it a totally new look. There's a lot of features that are really key for Popeye, like the big chin, the pipe, and you know, the sailor hat, the whole costume.
Just getting our heads around the style of animation of the characters was a challenge because the timing is so strange and so kind of flowy. If one movement flows into another with no pauses between actions.
You see? What did I tell you? Nothing to worry about.
So when it came time to voice the characters, you know, it was a big decision for us to step up and nail the classic Popeye voice. We called Billy up and asked him if he'd be involved, and he nailed it. He nailed the Jack Mercer Popeye to a T, which is the classic voice from the 30s and throughout Popeye's career.
Well, blow me down.
So I'm well aware of the history of it and the lineage, and of course, you know, it's my job to try to do the best I can to hold up the mantle. It's a tough voice. I mean, there's no way to prepare for it.
Just listen to the music of the waves.
As soon as your brain figures out the musicality of a character, it doesn't matter if you did it 50 years ago. The second you think of the, you know,
Yoo-hoo, Olive. I bring you some flowers.
it's in your head. All you have to do is dial it up as long as you can hear the musicality in your head, and the voice just falls into line.
And now I'm on a quest to rescue me Pappy, so go on, get your figment. Leave me, Olive. That's a good one.
He had to do Popeye's voice, which is like impersonating a buzzsaw.
You know.
And so by the end of day one, he was like thrashed and had to go home to his hotel and drink honey.
Well, I ain't just no one. I is Popeye the Sailor.
We may have thrashed his vocal cords, but we got great results out of it.
You see how clever I am?
Olive Oil we did a voice match for, and Tabitha St. Germain.
Popeye!
She was fantastic.
She ain't no woman. She's just Olive.
I am such a nice person.
I'm really just following a match as close as I can possibly get it, but you have to kind of take the waver a little bit out because that can get a little grating after a time.
My hero!
Not only did she voice Olive Oil, she also voiced Sweet Pea.
This is my warm-up. And then, then I can go, and it's all there. You know, you just have to clear the pipes, and then you're there.
Well, hello, Mr. Bluto.
Hey, what are you doing here? The only way that I can get myself into that voice is to go, I'll show you how to wash windows. It's got that, and it just brings you right into it, and it's like a place. You have to place it. What? Hey, get out of my way!
Sailor's life is the deep blue sea.
We wanted the music to still capture a little bit of the essence of the old Fleischer cartoons, but we also wanted to bring it into today's world.
We found out that Mark Mothersbaugh was a big Popeye fan. In his earlier life as the leader of the punk new wave band Devo, he actually wrote a song that was a tribute to a Popeye cartoon.
This new animation, the musical styling could be similar, but it was definitely a case where they had made the picture so much bigger than the original Popeye picture, than the original black and white 2D animation, that it really required a bigger orchestra. It was done with all, samples of live instruments. It was done with like the equivalent of a 95-piece orchestra.
In 3D, you build your one model, your basic model, but to do all those little gags, those all have to be built.
In actual 3D environment, we can construct what we want to move, whereas in classical, the actual person would have to hand draw each pose, whereas we just grab a physical object and rotate it in whatever axis that we want. So with that, we can move the characters in various ways and make them pose in different ways.
The most challenging character, I think, overall was Olive Oil, having the big long arms that have to be all snaky and all fluid. Same with the legs, and even her whole torso is just a big long hose, really.
She had no elbows or knees, and so we had 8 bones, so that she had like a little bone, a little bone, a little bone, a little bone, all the way down, and so that you'd have to get these curving arcs to her. And she has a signature sort of flail that she does whenever she gets excited, where her arms kind of move like snakes.
This looks so easy at the circus.
The original Popeye was very stylized. The animation was very bouncy. Everything had a life to it, even the sets or the props. And we wanted to bring that across in the models as well. We didn't want things to look like a real boat would. We wanted to give it a bit of meat to it, a bit of chunkiness to make it look a little bit more like it had feeling or character to it.
He's a sailor, and the show was taking place on water. CGI, water sometimes can be very complicated.
My old friend, water. Yeah. Water is incredibly difficult, just in the fact that it's always moving, and when you interact with it, that movement has to stop and change because something's come into that space.
And we didn't want to have realistic looking water in any case, because if you throw real reflective, depth-faded, splashing water into a show that is this stylized, it will look completely wrong. And so what we settled on was sort of a painted look for the ocean. And again, harkened back to the very simple way that they had done the oceans in the old color cartoons. Yes, we always start with the voices, and the more energy that comes into the voices, the better it is, and the animators listen to the voices over and over again.
One of the challenges we've found with a lot of our Popeye characters is the fact that we don't have the normal human type eye with the whites. So what we had to do is we had to animate the mouth first instead of the eyes first, and try to get as much emotion through the mouth as we can to make up for the lack of the eyes. And that's pretty much what we do for every word we go through.
I am. I don't know what you saw in the little pipsqueak anyhow.
Who's just calling a pipsqueaks, Pluto?
For my money, Popeye is the most interesting and exciting character from animation history.
To be involved with a part of Popeye's incredible history as an animated character was just a real honor for me.
I think in a way, this is a much smarter update of Popeye. By staying in the world of animation, I think more true to the Fleischer's vision.
It's the ultimate joy, because I'm sitting there, I'm going, I used to watch this every single day when I was a kid. And now I'm actually playing one of the characters that I loved.
Cartoons don't know any boundaries or borders. You can do anything in them that you couldn't shoot on film.
Well, blow me down.
He eats his spinach. How can you go wrong with that? He gets his protein, you know, in these days where everything's low carb, he gets his spinach, he gets strong. It's a positive message for the kids.
It really just shows the strength of this property and how he stood the test of time of almost 7 decades of animation, and he could still work in a new medium and thrive in it.